And we decided that since all of us were very fond of reading, we would form a reading club, and we would just call it the Reading Circle. And we would meet once a month. There would be no hierarchy. There would be no subscription fees. And but all we needed was someone to keep the register, which is actually now going round, asking for your signatures. But it also, the person who keeps the register also sends notices about the meetings. The next meeting was on March 27th, and there were only 2 persons present on that occasion. I hope one of them is going to come today. I do not know, because with all sorts of things going around, it's difficult to know who's going to come. Since those first 2 meetings, our group has grown much bigger, and we have, I think, about 30 plus members. But just as TRC has grown, TRC also has lost some members, and I would like to remember them today. Nasreen Kabir was present at the first meeting, but she passed away in October 2024. And Shahana Khan, who joined later, also passed away in 2021 after a very brave struggle with cancer. Last year, Raza Ali, an overseas member, also passed away. If you do not mind, it is a happy occasion, but if you do not mind, can we just observe, stand up and observe one minute? Thank you very much. Our choice of books. We choose books by mutual agreement. Maybe someone suggests a book, and then we agree. Sometimes, and we try to choose, of course, prize-winning books, Nobel Prize-winning books, Booker Prize-winning books. Sometimes we've been very disappointed. At the last meeting, someone said very, very loudly, "How could this book ever win the Booker Prize?" But we can't help it. We know there are politics. We also read, in February especially, we read books by Bangladeshi, sorry. She has a chair there, Aspa, can you please sit there?
Yes, you have to sit here.
You're going to speak. Aspa, you're going to speak. In February, March, Akon has become international mother language reading. We try to read a book by a Bangladeshi writer, whether in Bangla or in English. In March, we read a book by a woman writer or a book connected to the Liberation War. In December also, we read a book connected to the Liberation War. Sometimes written by Bangladeshi, sometimes written by non-Bangladeshi foreigners. Even Pakistani writers we have read in December. In May, we try to read something by Rabindranath or by Nazrul, because both of them have their birthdays in that month. Since February 2014, when we celebrated our 8th anniversary, we decided to honor a Bangladeshi writer. And we have been honoring several Bangladeshi writers, some who write in English, the majority who write in Bangla. The appearance of COVID brought a halt, but then of course, thanks to modern technology, we used to have Zoom meetings, which were in a way a blessing, because then people like Iftikhar could join from Singapore. Iftikhar was at that time in Singapore. And the advantage of Zoom meetings was that they could be recorded and many of them are on YouTube. We have been fortunate to have distinguished writers read for us. We have also invited foreign writers, and ASFA has been very influential here. 3 of the writers we invited were Aruna Chakravarti, Amitabh Ghosh, and Moni Shankar Mukherjee. And these visits were supported by Independent University Bangladesh, to whom we owe a deep debt of gratitude. Though we are primarily a reading group, we have also written books, and we started very accidentally really. We were celebrating the 90th anniversary of Vidrohi, and we were discussing how poor the translations were. And then I said, translation is very difficult. Nowadays, everyone is talking about translation. There are translation prizes, there are translation courses. And I said, let us, just translate something ourselves and see. We're not going to try to translate Nazrul's poems. We translated his novel Bandhanara, which is a novel in letters. And there were 8 of us. And when you put it together, Standard Chartered Bank offered to publish it, and which was wonderful, but also problematic, because they would give the books to their clients who don't read books, and readers would not get it. But Ninfia Publishers, they published a paperback edition 2 years later, so that book is now available in the market. Our second book was Story Well. The second book also happened by chance. Because we read so many things on the Liberation War that our group is almost tired of the Liberation War. And they said, other people have written about the Liberation War, why can't we write about the Liberation War? I said, okay, we'll write about the Liberation War from our perspective. So then we had Stories from the Edge, because none of us actually fought in the war. Shamsher was not a member of PRC at that time. Sal was never a member of PRC. So the book is called Stories from the Edge. And Razia Sultana Khan very helpfully workshopped the book. And Bengal Publications, we have Luba Chaudhary there, that's why she is here, been invited. She published the book. After that, today is a very, we should have celebrated it on the 20th, but that's Ramzan, it's after elections. So we decided to have it earlier, and we decided very ambitiously to publish 2 books. One miscellany with book reviews that our members have written about the books we discussed, some emails that went back and forth, some special events have been also covered. 2 of our books were reviewed by outside reviewers and published in the Daily Star. One of them was Bandhanara, which is called Unfettered in English, and the other was Stories from the Edge. We also collaborated with a women's writing group, Gata, to publish some of Alice Munro's stories in translation. Despite all the difficulties in getting books, proper venues, and traffic jams, TRC has survived for 20 years. This would not have been possible without dedicated readers, coffee houses, bookshops, and most importantly, the support of institutions and centers. Usually the thanks comes at the end, but I would like to thank people at the beginning when they are still fresh. I would like to thank the following institutions and centers for their support through the years. Independent University Bangladesh, IUB, the Goethe Institute, Alliance Française, the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center, Radius Center, Chef's Table Unimart, EMK Center, the Sufia Mannan Memorial Library, and most recently, Ajo Idea Space. I would also like to thank certain individuals who helped us. Mr. Salahuddin Imam, who allowed us to use a room in Radius Center, making possible discussions and the translation of Nazrul's novel. Mr. Ankon Banerjee, who was at that time in charge of the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center, and invited us to use the center for our programs. We didn't just read Indian books, though we, for example, we did read Rabindranath, but we read all sorts of books at the center, and that was wonderful. Mr. Purunangshu Burwa, who printed the first edition of Unfettered and published the revised version, as well as the Reading Circle 20 years after, and has accepted stories my grandma never told me. Miss Luva Chaudhary, who published Stories from the Edge, Personal Narratives of the Liberation War. Professor Fakhrullah, is supposed to be coming, who reviewed the TRC publication of Unfettered, and Dr. Shahid Alam, who reviewed Stories from the Edge. I thank all of you have come, especially Zia Rahman, for expressing your interest in coming to our group. I mean, I know that, Razia, one of our members, interviewed you, but that was at IUB. But this is the first time that we have had the opportunity of having you here. Fakhrul, you almost made a dramatic entrance. You missed it by half a second. Anyway, Fakhrul is supposed to come and he's supposed to join us. It's very special thanks to all of you. And and lastly, I must thank Amina, who has arranged for a videographer, a reporter, and a photographer. And Amina is not here, but she arranged for these three very nice young men to record our meeting today. Thank you all very, very much. Asfa, he said, as one of our earliest members, we would like you to speak.
I'm going to speak whatever I remember because I am having some vision problem also, so I can't see very well. Anyway, as Nayana said that we started, first meeting was with 2 members, I can remember.
3 members.
3 members.
You were with 2 members.
And then second meeting I was there. So we had a meeting in those days in Words and Pages. It was where Weston is now. And then it grew, the members started coming in, and it was a very nice place to have a meeting because it was a bookshop and a cafe. And then slowly I was more of a PR person for TRC. And I used to read a lot those days, but as time goes by, you lose some interest, and then it comes back again. So when, as Nayana said, that we had achieved many things by reading, we actually educated ourselves through reading. We are not academics or intellectuals as such, at least not myself, but we enlightened ourselves by reading international readers and having so much experience and interaction. And I remember Sal here sitting, I can see him on vision, though I have 50-50 vision now. So I can see Sal here, we enjoyed being at your place very much, and you were so kind to host so many, not just the reading sessions, but so many events that we had with writers and personalities, intellectual personalities. And I remember that when we read Amita Ghosh's Hungry Tide, we decided that, he's a Bengali and he's a West Bengal, and why not get in touch with him? So I remember Then Amina Isfahani volunteered that her friend, Aina Bhagat of Oxford bookstore, Amina knew her very well, so she got us in touch with Maina, and I got in touch with Amita, and I went to New York and I got in touch with him over there as well. So in fact, it was in Brooklyn that I first spoke to him. When I spoke to him, the most wonderful thing about his personality was that when I spoke to him, I felt that he had known me for a very long time, but I just met him. And he took me out in Brooklyn, and then he came to Bangladesh, and that was really something for us those days. I mean, having an international writer of his stature come to us, and the partnership was with IUB, with HSBC Bank, and Luna Mariam. She arranged a trip, if I remember very well, she arranged a boat trip to Sundarbans, I don't know what her organization is called, and the High Commission of India. Very actively involved. We had three partners working with us. And HSBC was interested because the CEO at those days of HSBC was an Englishman, and he read many of his books, so he immediately sponsored a reception for him at Westin. And that is something which I'm always going to remember. Some of us, we went on this boat trip, and it was wonderful. And after that, we invited and Mani Shankar Mukherjee, and that was also with the help of the High Commissioner. We read Chorumbi. And after reading Chorumbi, we decided that we would get in touch with him. I don't know how the process started, but we got in touch with him. In fact, I got in touch with him. And then it was IUB, the High Commissioner of India again. And those days, the High Commissioner was Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Ankur Banerjee. And they went out of the way to help us. When he gave me his personal phone number, we got our visas, he got all our Indian High Commissioner got all our visas. He did everything for us. And then I'm going to talk about only our relationship with the institutions, which I helped this group to get in touch with. And then the Goethe Institute was, Angela was here, she was the Director General, and she actually signed an MOU with us. If you remember when I had it, I gave to her, written everything to you. And they invited us to Chittagong to read a book at one of the universities, I forget. Asian University, and they invited three of us and we went there. We were very busy those days with our PR. We were not only reading, we were very busy those days. I was younger, I was fit, I could do it, but now I can't. So, and then also with the Agnos College, and then with the Indian Cultural Center, though as Niyama said, we didn't read all the time Indian books, but we other books that they allowed us to use the premises. And I have so many wonderful memories of us reading together, writing together. And then with Bahan Hara, Nina Zaba and myself, we went to Standard Chartered Bank. I talked to the CEO, and he was very interested in publishing something of Nazrul. So Nina Zaba and myself went to the first meeting.
I didn't know you went. You talked to them.
Oh, okay, I talked to them, I forgot. I sort of mentioned it to them, and I persuaded them, and I went back and forth to the bank all the time, and and that was a very wonderful thing because it was very grandly done. It was a very grand event done at the Radisson at that time, and the books were wonderful, and we had a lot of cultural program also. I think some cultural organization was also involved in that. That was another thing, and then I can see Luba and Sinha after ages. And then we did the second book. I got in touch with Luba. The first draft I gave it to Luba, and then Razi and myself went. I remember Razi and myself, we went together, and we got the book published. Thank you, Luba, very much. And this is one of the 20 out of the 27 best books written on the Liberation War in some kind of assessment. We were number 7 or 8 at that time. And I forget the link of that. And anyway, I enjoyed being with TRC, but now I've taken a back seat now because I don't keep very well nowadays, so I don't come very often and I can't read very much. But I really enjoy this group, and I shall always remember my contributions and the fellowship that I shared with this group for many years. Is that all, Leanna? Thank you very much.
I first of all want to thank everyone for making this group a most successful and enjoyable group, because we really keep our minds alive. We keep our taste in books, and then we also get to read new books and new prize-winning books. And our journey in this group, the TRC, has been a wonderful journey to enjoy and to really appreciate. I really must say that there are so many groups in Dhaka, but the most enjoyable one, the one I enjoyed attending, was the TRC. It was always alive, it was always with new ideas, and our wonderful convener, because she doesn't want to call herself president or whatever, Niaz. Her leadership and a silent leadership is wonderful, and we are lucky to have it. Without Niaz, I don't know what this group would have been like. So, and I must say that in the early days, when we used to meet, we used to have many new ideas. Like, for instance, we learned so many things. When Amitabh Ghosh came, we went to Sundarbans, and we had a lovely trip over there. He joined us, and we just walked around his book, what he wrote about tigers, about Sundarban, wonderful books. His Glass Palace, his The Hungry Tide, it's still fresh in my memory. I loved his books, and I think those who haven't read it, please read Amitabh Ghosh. He's a wonderful writer. Then we have the writer who wrote about Calcutta's that hotel, Chowrangi. And that was also a great experience. We passed through all the historic places of Calcutta, because all our parents, they all know Calcutta. Most of them grew up. So for me, it was very enjoyable. Then I didn't know that there was a slave market in India, in Calcutta, in Murgitola. And it was something that was educational for me. And also, we have been through so much. It has been a great journey for us to live through the TRC. And then all the members, every one of the members have contributed something. And this is all to thanks to Niaz. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't really. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this group.
Introduce, Tanveerul Haq, sorry,
My
I
name
should have
is-
introduced.
That's all right. I will introduce myself. My name is Tanveerul Haq. I have been involved with the reading circle. I use the word involved with the reading circle since 2008. And I have been the lone male member for donkey's years. And that was a very privileged and challenged position because, dealing with so many ladies, I had to unruffle feathers and a lot of, interesting. Let's really not go into the details, but I tell you what a grand celebration. I mean, members have come in, have gone away. Everybody has their prerogatives. We have formed a bond which is a living bond, meaning passengers get in, passengers get off, but the structure of the organization and the common interest that drew us and has drawn us and continues to draw us is our love for reading. This, in my humble opinion, is a very rare, what shall we say, hobby in Bangladesh, and it's sadly not picking up. We would love to have more younger people join the group. They do, they come and stay for a couple of meetings and then they disappear. Reading is a passion, and unless you are really passionate about not only reading, about anything, you don't sort of travel long on the way. Niaz has been my quotation, den mother. We do not have a formal structure, but she has been on each and every meeting, save and except a few when she has been indisposed. She has been a steadying hand on the rudder of this wonderful journey. And obviously because of her stature, because of her acclaim, critical acclaim, the Ekushe Padok, she has a special respect in all our hearts. And of course, again, I'm sorry, I keep on saying this, again, being a teacher, she has been hard, strong, and I have always been by her side. You give me the danda, I will wield it. But for fun. What a wonderful journey, what a wonderful hobby reading is, and then the beauty of it is we select a book, we take a month to go through it, and then we all sit together and discuss the book. The discussions, you just cannot imagine how interesting, animated, knowledge-giving they are, those discussions are. That is the binding factor for this group to stay on for such a long time. And we wish that more people enjoy reading, love reading, and we have been very fortunate, as you have heard. We have published 3-4 publications, and this one today is entirely Niaz's doing. We didn't even know too much about it. I was just going through. It's beautiful. All the books that we have read are enumerated here. We have only been handed over this to those who have some publication in here. So unfortunately we don't have enough to give to you all. It's beautiful. It traces in a beautiful, unstructured manner the history of the reading circle. There are some pictures as well. The entire glossary of books that we have read. We have a reviewed, variety of us have reviewed, various of us have reviewed. Those reviews are here. This one is a special gift from Niaz. Thank you very, very much, because she did it entirely single-handedly. The other things that we did were, needing workshopping, needing revisions and a lot of time. And Razia Khan, another teacher among our midst, has been the driving force in getting us to write, and then workshopping it, giving it shape, and then subsequently publishing. We are very proud of our work. We can call those of us that are published, we can call ourselves published authors. We would never have, had that much of, what shall we say, drive and initiative to get something really published in a book format. Many of us have written reviews and articles in national dailies, and we feel good about it, but the books are really a remarkable achievement. Those who have joined us today, have played a role in the journey of the reading circle. Sal's Redshift was a wonderful, was a wonderful gesture to the reading circle. We had such a big room to ourselves, and we had great memories. That was the longest span that we had a meeting at one place for such a long time. Now we have found a new home in Dr. Tanveer and Anjuma's home. They have a small little library there, and there's enough seating for 22 people. So we have been continuing there for a few months now. We have had a wonderful journey. We look forward to a very interesting times, and we continue to read books that are very contemporary, and they take us over a journey across the world. Welcome all of you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
For me, the TRC members who are also writers have also enriched me in the same way that the great literary giants have. Dr. Fakhrul Alam, who is sitting right next to me, Dr. Radia Sultana, and most of all, Dr. Niyaz Zaman herself. They have not only, she has not only published her own work, but enabled, this is very important, she has enabled lesser known writers to publish their stories, poems or works of fiction. And so we are happy and celebrate from the heart that among her many literary awards, the Bangla Academy Literary Award for Translation, she also won the Ekushe Padak. So that was a great day for us all, not just for ourselves, but for so many other authors that she brought to the forefront. I'm sure they must be running into hundreds by now, I'm quite certain. Okay, education is one of the key qualities of our club, I would say. We gain knowledge from the books we read, we analyze them, then we discuss and give space to all members to express their opinion. We can love or hate a book, we can love or hate a person, and also, of course, sometimes we've had arguments over Salman Rushdie, and we can condemn his views, or we can think that he's an absolute brilliant writer, or some of us can think that the last Booker Prize, Flesh, should have gone to the shredder, but some thought that it deserved to win the Booker Prize. So opinions can be varied, and varied opinions are translated. Now in this day and age, I can say that our club is the most democratic of all. Democracy is a key word now in our life, remember. Okay. We are not about academics only, as others have said. We love the tea parties, I would call them, that we have after the discussion. We linger on for a long time and enjoy that. So thanks to Mr. Tanveer and every other member who participates. And through TRC, we have really journeyed around the world and studied cultures we were so clueless about. Translating books into English for us to understand is as big a contribution as writing a book. There are European authors even whose names we cannot pronounce or spell. But on reading those English translations, we understand that what gems were hidden there. So, what if Leo Tolstoy's works in Russian had not been translated? The world would have been poorer, definitely. Translating Bangla into English also gives our writers a much broader platform. Again, I thank Dr. Niyaz Zaman and Dr. Fakhrul Alam and others who have facilitated this service for writers. And I have loved the varieties of the books that we have read. I mean, from the prize-winning authors to ordinary books to just a book that one of the members enjoyed, and it may not have won awards and things, but we all enjoyed it. So you see, that's what reading is all about. You enjoy it. You don't necessarily have to read one that won a prize. And then of course, Gyalapa had mentioned Nasreen Kabir and Shahana Rahman. Both of them, Shahana Rab Rahman, and both of them were very dear to me. And I hope that TRC continues to celebrate milestones like this. It's been a great journey, and we love it. We've all had a good time. Thank you.
Dr. Khan Chaudhary.
Thank you. Dear friends, it's been said that speech was given to the diplomat to conceal his thoughts, but it's not meant for fora such as this. I've not been a person of English literature. In fact, I've been a member of TRC since my years in Singapore as a principal fellow in international relations in the Institute of South Asians in Singapore National University. Anyway, it's a rare privilege to celebrate 2 decades of a reading circle. Such longevity speaks not merely of books read, but also of minds engaged and friendships sustained. Thank you, Nyazapa, for the steadfast stewardship that you provide us. Reading is often imagined as a solitary pleasure, and so it is. Yet TRC has shown that its richest rewards emerge when ideas are shared, questioned, and sometimes ever so gently contested. We are here because reading gives us joy. It is our recognition and not the Nobel and the Booker that is the author's greatest prize. We recall the English writer Hilaire Belloc's famous line, "When I'm dead, I hope it is said, his sins were scarlet, but his books were red." TRC evokes in us a modicum of nostalgia for our past. It reminds us of the times when as undergraduates we found much solace in sitting in the cubicles of our libraries and turning the golden pages of Milton's Aryabhajatika. For over 20 years, our members have brought to our sessions not only learning and erudition, but also curiosity, generosity of spirit, and willingness to listen. In doing so, we have turned reading into a collective journey across cultures, histories, and imaginations. We invite through literature of different lands and times the knowledge that elements that unite humankind are deeper than those that divide. We take lessons from the great minds, from the authors that we read, far beyond their subplots and storylines. For instance, we learn from the mighty Homer that Iliad can be the tale of our own daily battles, and Odyssey the reflection of our own travel along the inscrutable path of destiny. I fervently pray that our shelves may grow ever fuller, our conversations ever richer, and our companionship ever stronger. I thank you.
What can I say except that I've been so happy to be associated with the book club, with the reading circle in a number of ways. One I can remember is when my own translation of Rishat Sindhu, Ocean of Sorrow, was launched not long after. And it's those of you who were there will remember the occasion. But personally, it was such a great event for me because I worked very hard for the book, 500 plus pages of translation. And I wonder how many people ever read it outside the reading circle. I mean, outside the reading circle. So, Bangla Academy being Bangla Academy, it's where it is. But I had a wonderful evening and I will treasure that evening always. And other occasions I've been there when the reading club circle was in Saladin Bhai's gave space. And Dhaka was a place where you could travel easily. I think I came a number of times. But for me, in Hanmani Bashi, coming here is very difficult, and I regret that I'm not part of the reading circle. But I know that under Nyazapa's guidance, leadership, and the way she has always conducted everything, Nyazapa is just not my teacher, not just not my colleague, but she is also my publisher, and she's been guiding me in any number of ways. I think this reading circle has continued for 2 decades, and it's so wonderful to be here. I just wanted to say that I've always dreamt about being part of something like the reading circle. Ever since I read about, and I'm an 18th century person in English literature, and I'm a great fan of Dr. Johnson. And Dr. Johnson had something like the reading circle. He had Edmund Burke, he had Boswell, of course, and he had a number of other people, and they would always be there in a week after week, month after month, they would meet. And I would always think, because not only Dr. Johnson, but these other personalities, Boswell and others, Edmund Burke, I felt always very close to them because I read so much about them. And I always felt that if I could be part of something like this. Unfortunately, I couldn't, this being on the other side of the city, but it's wonderful. And the other thing that I remember now, is very appropriate, even though it's not a reading circle at all, is a song I think everyone here knows, Coffee House e She Adda. So, Coffee House e She Adda jara chilo, tara to shobai boiye byapare chilo, kopi hok, eta hok. And I think the book is such a wonderful occasion to cement us, to get us together. Any book, any great book, I would say, is such a wonderful occasion for people to come and share their ideas. And I hope this will continue. We are, I think reading circles are also endangered species in the age of AI, in the age of the mobile phone, in the age of Kindle. I don't know where it's all going to go. But what is a book unless you share it with somebody you like, somebody who is same length, not necessarily intellectual, but cultural and in other ways. I think the book is just a wonderful place for us to come together. So I hope the reading circle will continue to thrive, regardless of AI or whatever. And I'll be very happy to be associated with it, even from distant Dhanbandi. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I count 3, 4 possibly changes of heart about being here. When I was, do you want me to use this one?
No, that's okay.
When I was first invited by Farhana, when she moved here, I was delighted. I imagined I would just be sitting in the periphery, and I'm an anthropologist at heart, not by training. So I was delighted. But then she said, just said a few words. In fact, I don't think Farhana framed it in those terms. It was more of an instruction, which made me, the first change of heart, I became very apprehensive, perhaps the second. And then I arrived, entered the room, and I felt I was an interloper. I felt I was interloping on something very precious. A 20-year celebration with people who've gone through a shared experience. But then I sat down, and I listened to you all speak. Now I feel tremendously privileged to be just present. I'm very moved. I'm a writer of sorts, and I think most writers are very moved to meet us. It is regrettable that we are a dwindling species. That is a fact, and I'm very out. But reading will not die. There will always be, because there will always be people who recognize the beauty of reading, of engaging in that encounter with another consciousness. Because that's what books do, right? They transmit one consciousness through this remarkable phenomenon, namely marked on a page. They transmit that consciousness, or some semblance of that consciousness, to another consciousness. So thank you very much for inviting me. If I could just say a couple more things.
Certainly,
Oh,
certainly.
you have all the time.
No, I won't prolong
By the
this.
way, you are very much a part of this book
Yes.
because we read your book
Yeah.
on November 16,
Yes.
2014.
14.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Very interesting.
Difficult book, but we read it.
No, you know, a lot of the reviews were very flattering, but they also they destroyed book sales.
Oh,
Because if you
no.
tell readers that this book is The Economist called it an intellectual banquet, New Yorker said intellectual pluripotency, nobody wants to buy it. But anyway, I'm not complaining. What I wanted to say, well, the two things I wanted to say, first of all, I just want to head off the question, the obvious question. Are you writing anything else? I'm under contract to write two non-fiction books. So that's what I'm working on now. I have other fiction works which may come out. The current climate for fiction is difficult, very difficult. Book sales of fiction sales, literary fiction sales have been plummeting over the last 15 years. So I'm really working on non-fiction. One of the two books, called The Return of the Migrant, includes some extensive discussion of my relationship with Bangladesh and of this period, this pivotal period in Bangladesh history. So that's just to address the question that I get asked all the time. The third and final thing, I thought this would be a great venue to tell you about something extraordinary that happened this week, which I think people who enjoy reading might be interested in. A committee commissioned by the Education Advisor returned a report into not so much into the state of the secondary school system, because that state is quite transparent and obvious to everyone, but a report on how to reform it. And I'm sure you've all read many reports. They make fantastic soporifics at night for struggling with sleep. But this one was really quite extraordinary. It was really remarkable. I felt so moved I felt it was so extraordinary that I was moved to write an op-ed for Procomal. Everybody said, my goodness, your Bangla is so good. I didn't know whether to tell them that it was translated by Procomal or not. And the launch was on Tuesday, and after that I decided I wanted to write another op-ed about it, and that'll come out tomorrow in the Daily Star. I won't tell you much about it. I won't tell you anything about it. I will tell you, urge you to read, if not the report, its executive summary, and if not its executive summary, then my op-ed tomorrow in the Daily Star. Because the reform of Bangladesh's secondary education system is way overdue. And it has the harm wrought upon that system is harm that translates into a catastrophe, an ongoing catastrophe for Bangladesh. So, the demographic dividend, namely the relative large workforce against the number of dependents, that demographic dividend is about to run out. And what that means is that unless education is reformed, Bangladesh will be saddled with a woefully undereducated workforce for some decades, which will have terrible consequences for economic development. This is setting aside all the obvious stuff to do with the state's obligation to provide decent education, moral duty to provide such an education to its children. I just wanted to end on that note, because I think some of you are influential people, all of you are, every one of us, in our own way. And I urge you to read, at least read the op-ed, because it really is a remarkable book. Thank you.
Time is short, so I'm going to stick to the script. Reading, as has been mentioned, is a solitary act. We sit alone with a book and we read in silence. That solitude is precious. But reading only in isolation has its limits. When you read alone, your interpretations remain unchallenged. Your blind spots are invisible because it's to you. You might miss what others are. Others see immediately. A book can feel finished once you are done with it. A book club changes that completely. The text doesn't stay closed. Suddenly, reading becomes a dialogue, not just with the author, but with your peers, with everyone else. And you and a group like TRC, because we're so varied, we have lawyers, teachers, school teachers, people who are sort of, homemakers, and other jobs, in the banks and whatnot, and economists. We get all these various schemata from them. We get these various ideas. So reading by myself, I would not have thought that. Then some economist says, well, you know what's going to happen in that. And I think, there's an economic side to that. The anthropologist comes in and said, what about this? So that has been very, very rewarding. And we argue. We don't have the same opinions, we disagree. But what's nice is that years later, we still can pick up, for example, beauty is a wound. Exactly, you see? I mentioned that and everybody goes, oh no. So as a body, we can relate to that. And the last book we read, Flesh. And some people were very passionate about how could this be. They went up to this committee, what is it doing? So we share these moments, and then somebody else says, well, what about this? This was quite good. And so you get these bouncing ideas off each other, which I think is so very important. I've been a member of a book club I just sat down last night to see, more than 40 years. The first book club I was a member of was in Dhaka, actually. It was a mix of expatriate native speakers and Bangladeshi women. And it was very good, because they brought in new ideas from outside. Until Google was not available at that time. So we relied on people who traveled to bring back these ideas from foreign parts. And we had our local books. So that was very good. And then I went to do my studies abroad, and I got cut off from here. But I joined 2 other book clubs in Nebraska. One was the Asian Book Club. And I was introduced to all these Korean writers and Indonesian writers and Thai writers. And better still, to all the food. I even wrote down some names because I thought I'm not going to remember. Sashimi, kimchi, tteokbokki, bulgogi. Because every time we had, a Malaysian writer, the person who was Malaysian would say, we're going to have it in my house, and she would cook Malaysian food. So when I proposed Sultana's Dream, and then of course I had biryani, then I don't cook. I'm no good. My kids go out when I'm cooking. Yeah, that's a fact actually. But I made biryani, and nobody knows. So they were like, wow, you're such a wonderful cook. It did so much for my ego. I actually wrote back to my family, can you believe this? They're raving about my biryani. So food has always been connected to book clubs. Because Nyazapa thinks we're going too much into food, in our present book club. And I think it's perfectly all right. You work hard, you get together, food brings you together. Just like books bring you together, you see different cultures. Food does the same.
You consume 2 things together.
Exactly. You have to nourish the body and the brain. So the books would only have done the brain. What about the body? We need that too. So then when I came back, I looked around for my old book club, and they had all just dissipated because people had gone back, and the local ones were too busy. And I tried half-heartedly. Then I realized that there's another book club that had just started at that time. And Nyazapa was there, and I said, well, yeah, it's already there, let me join that. And I've been with that since 2008, actually. It's been 18 years I've been with the book club, and everybody's talked about TRC, so I'm not going to go there so much. I will, however, say that 20 years is a long time for anything, for relationships, for ideas, for governments. So for us to have thrived for 20 years, I think it's something rare and something beautiful. Of course, you know, I mean, everybody said it, I should. I wasn't going to mention your name,
Don't,
but
please don't.
but we do have a mentor, and it helped a lot for her to keep us in the straight and narrow. Otherwise, when, you know, I mean, it's, I'll tell you now, close your ears, when she's not there, it's like, everybody starts talking, I have to do the nyasam on that. It's 4 o'clock, let's start. And then I think, oh God, I'm doing a nyasam. But, you know, she keeps us on the right path. She keeps the discussion going. And things that we miss, she brings them up. As I do in class. When students miss something, I will say, well, what about this? And she does exactly that. And that is very helpful. Because otherwise, you know, you don't see your own flaws. When I joined TRC, of course I did it for the reading. Everybody, you know, we love reading, so we were there. What I didn't anticipate was the gain I would get beyond that. I made friends. And just like, you know, when you're working the whole day, your colleagues become your friends. Here, we have become friends in the sense that now we do other things together. We see plays together. We go to musical soirees together. We celebrate each other's, you know, whatever, successes. We are sorry when something happens wrong. We celebrate our rewards, our awards. Mostly it's Nyazaman's rewards that we all celebrate. Sorry, none of us have come up to that as yet. The other thing I want to mention actually is, okay, the best thing about TRC, well, one of the good things about TRC has been that as readers, you know, as you read, you become more critical, obviously. But you also, a group has morphed into writing. So when you read and then you become writers, you see things that readers don't see. For example, you start analyzing things from the inside, not just as readers from the outside, but as writers, because you've gone through that. You've seen how difficult it is. I've been able to do some workshops, and I've had some of our writers say, oh my God, why are you making us do a second draft and a third draft? And I always give the example of people like Hajin, the Chinese British writer. Every note, because he learned, yeah, I've done that in class too. He was asked that he started learning English when he was about 9. And they said, well, you know, your books are very popular. Do you ever edit or revise them? He says, yeah, I do. How many times? He said, each book I've revised at least 100 times. A book, not a poem. A book, 100 times. So after that, my students get really depressed. They say, there's no hope for us. Because they do one draft, and then if they've changed a few spelling and, you know, commas, they think, this is my second draft. No, go back and revise. Let it keep. So we did that with our books, and I think some of the other writers were not very happy. That we'd at least said, how many times are you going to make me do this? And he left the country actually. He wouldn't have to revise, he left the country. And he said, you just finish it for me. It doesn't work like that. And you know, I mean, the conversations, as somebody mentioned, the conversations stay with you. They don't go away. So, like I mentioned, you know, beauty is a wound. We still feel that anger and disgust. With Zia Haidar's book, In the Light of What We Know, it hasn't gone away, so you know we were able to bring him back. Yeah. With Fakrul Bhai's book, again, it's always there, it's in our minds. So things, you know, because we read it together, we can still discuss it and we can still feel that bond. So I'm very grateful for that.
Some infections don't go
What's that?
away. Sorry, I said some infections don't go away.
This is the sort of infection I'm quite happy with. I don't mind if it doesn't go away. So, I mean, I'd like to finish there, and I'd like to thank again Fakrul Bhai and Zia Haidar Rahman for gracing this occasion. I think it becomes so much, when we do it ourselves, you know, it's like a homely thing. But when people of your stature come, it changes, it does elevate the whole thing. And we are very, very thankful that you've come and very happy to have you. amongst us. And, well, if I had a glass, I would sort of toast and say here's to 20 years. Perhaps you can raise our bottles and say here's to 20 years. I don't think some of us will be around for the next 20 years, but maybe the next few years. Here's to us. Thank you.
When I came up with the concept of Redshift, you know, the coffee house, the auditorium, the art gallery and all that, it was intended as an offering to the community. Right, it was for this, and many people over the years did take advantage of it, but nobody like you did, you know, the reading circle, you know, it was like, how could I not accept it? That was the whole purpose of the thing, to get people like you and have yourselves, and you really outshone anything that anybody did, and this kind of, it makes me so grateful and happy that you took advantage of this whole stream of beautiful thinking and writing and discussions that went on for 20 years. I mean, that shows the strength, you know, that it's like a stream, that beautiful stream, and the whole city was enriched by it. And I certainly feel really, really grateful to you. And I think on behalf of everybody, we'd like to thank all the reading circles. I mean, all of you are, many of you are there, but the whole system, the society, we want to thank you for being around and keep going. Thank you very much. Because, yeah, despite all this gratitude, I do have something I want in return.
You're writing a book?
When my book comes out, inshallah, in May or so, I would like the reading circle please to read it.
And it's from...
No, and one more. The discussion, I want to hear it. You know? I won't speak anything, but I just want to hear the discussion.
Of course. From Harvard to Mujib Nagar, is it called?
It's called From Hippie to Gorilla.
Oh,
Closer. Yeah, it's called My Hyper Life. Hippie to Gorilla, 1966 to 71.
Reviewing a book can be almost as difficult as writing. Because you face perhaps more criticism. Why just you didn't like this and that? I did for a number of books which have mentioned what it is. Now, somebody said you read more when you're in solitude. My life also has been punctuated within incarceration more than once. And that was the time I really enjoyed reading. First was when I was in medical treatment in Eastern Germany, communist country. So my host and the hospital administrator insisted, sad believe me, on reading the Communist Party manifesto, 200, 300 pages. And to take tests of whatever at the School of Communism, everything, etc. So I tried to make a deal with the interpreter, British lady. I said, do it. I read the manifesto, my advantage was, but you must smuggle to my hospital bed books that I wanted to read about a time, like War and Peace, all these big books. And she did it. So here in daytime I was reading the Communist Party manifesto, and the night when the doors were locked, I was reading all these great books from the night. And I'm glad Amitabh Bose came up, used to Glass House, Glass Palace. I read the last time I was in jail.
Okay. Oh. It's recent.
The recent. I have been to the old prison in Dhaka, to Kashimpur, and this one in Ghani. So there are no more prisons left in Dhaka for me to go. So now they're coming to Russia here. But yes, I agree with you. What is a book unless you share it? Which is very, very true. The wealth the book really comes across to share. And I've enjoyed reading, I've enjoyed writing reviews. My own book, and I hope your group is not too tired of liberation.
No.
It's, I hope you're not too tired of liberation or fighters as well.
No.
My book is called Liberation, My Story. Okay. It's not about my fighting in the war, but 8 months of prison of war experience, where I have also seen the very good side of human beings, even when they're criticized. They risk their jobs actually.
Yeah, and it was not the officer, it was the...
It was the Nayaks, and in some office, mostly it was I've seen the worst of humanity in 71. I think the best of humanity in 71. all that contained in the book. The problem with writing about Bangladesh's English about history is that we are the only country that not agrees on this. So to get the right time, the right atmosphere to write everything truthful is a major challenge for investing in what. Once again, yeah, and the group is great sense of humor. That was 20 years. I wish you a very rich journey ahead. And I feel very, very happy to have come here today. And I look forward to coming if I'm not in jail.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So shall we say happy birthday?
Happy birthday to our
Thank you so much.
Now somebody takes the cake
You can
away.
speak now, Asma. You can speak now.
Yes.
Okay, now we are at Shamsher. Yes, you can speak. Come and try.